It was supposed to make America great again, but instead, it handed the keys of US industry to Canada. In a shocking twist, the very trade war designed to cripple foreign competition has backfired badly. And now, Canada isn't just surviving, it's thriving at America's expense. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story of economic chess, it's a power move decades in the making. The trade war that changed everything. When former President Donald Trump launched his aggressive trade war in 2018, his administration insisted it was the bold move needed to protect American workers. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, lumber, and other key goods were rolled out with the intention of punishing countries like China, Mexico, and yes, even Canada. The idea was simple. Make it more expensive for foreign companies to sell goods in the US, giving American manufacturers a fighting chance to reclaim their market share. But in the high-stakes world of global trade, simple ideas can have very complicated consequences. Fast forward to today, and a stunning reversal is unfolding. Canada, once caught in the crossfire, has not only rebounded but strategically positioned itself as a new global supplier of choice, while US companies are quietly shifting operations north of the border. Let's break down how this happened. Canada's silent strategy, the calm before the storm. While the US rattled sabers and played hardball, Canada took a different approach. Instead of retaliating in kind, Canadian policymakers doubled down on diplomacy, made targeted investments in infrastructure, and slashed bureaucratic red tape. The Trudeau government, often mocked in American media, used this moment to quietly revamp the country's logistics, energy, and manufacturing sectors. Billions of dollars were poured into port upgrades, rail lines, and supply chain corridors, connecting Vancouver to Toronto to Halifax. New free trade deals with the European Union and Pacific nations gave Canadian exporters unprecedented access to global markets. While Trump was exiting trade agreements, Canada was signing new ones and positioning itself as a reliable alternative to the increasingly unpredictable US manufacturers look north. At first, US companies bristled at the new tariffs. Steel prices soared, and raw material costs put intense pressure on American manufacturers. But once the initial shock faded, a growing number of CEOs quietly found a solution: move parts of their supply chain to Canada. It started with small shifts, warehousing in Ontario, packaging in British Columbia. But as the trade war dragged on, those minor changes became full-blown strategic pivots. Auto parts, made in Canada, aerospace components, shipped from Montreal, pharma ingredients, mixed in Toronto labs. Even iconic US companies, names like Ford, Boeing, and GE, began redirecting billions in contracts to Canadian subsidiaries. Why? Because operating in Canada suddenly meant smoother logistics, fewer tariffs, and access to international markets without political risk. In effect, Canada didn't need to win the trade war. It just had to look like the more stable bet, and it did. The booming Canadian supply chain ecosystem today, Canada's supply chain infrastructure is booming. The Port of Vancouver is operating at record capacity, handling everything from electronics and energy to grains and rare earth minerals. Rail networks crisscross the country with precision timing. Warehouses in Alberta and Saskatchewan are packed, with goods once shipped through Chicago or Kansas. But it's not just raw materials. Canada has become a full-service logistics hub. Amazon has doubled its investment in Canadian distribution centers. Walmart, too. And Shopify, Canada's own e-commerce giant, has built a powerful fulfillment network rivaling anything south of the border. Meanwhile, government incentives for clean tech and AI-based logistics have attracted Silicon Valley money. Tesla's Canadian suppliers now outpace many US factories in battery tech. Startups in Ottawa and Waterloo are developing next-gen shipping algorithms and cold chain systems that are already revolutionizing pharma transport across borders. In short, Canada isn't just participating, it's innovating. And American companies are paying attention. American jobs lost or relocated? Here's the hard truth. Thousands of American manufacturing and logistics jobs have either disappeared or quietly moved to Canada. And we're not talking about low-wage jobs. We're talking about high-skill, high-paying work in engineering, automation, and transportation. U.S. cities that once thrived on regional manufacturing, Cleveland, Buffalo, even Detroit, have seen slowdowns in post-COVID recovery. Meanwhile, Windsor, Ontario, just across the river, has seen an industrial revival. So has Halifax, which is now a rising star in global maritime shipping. Calgary is booming with energy exports, while Montreal's aerospace sector is attracting international investment at levels not seen in decades. And here's the kicker. Many of these jobs are being filled by American workers willing to cross the border or relocate permanently for better pay, benefits, and long-term stability. The irony? A policy meant to bring jobs back home may have pushed them even further away. Canada's green edge and ESG appeal. Another key factor driving Canada's rise is its leadership in green energy and ESG, environmental, social, and governance standards. While parts of the U.S. continue to debate climate policies, Canada has surged ahead with green hydrogen, carbon capture, and sustainable mining. For global corporations increasingly under pressure to meet ESG goals, partnering with Canadian suppliers is now a no-brainer. Not only are emissions lower, but regulatory stability and labor rights are stronger, a huge plus for companies facing growing consumer scrutiny. One of the lesser discussed outcomes of the U.S. trade war has been the strategic decoupling from China. While decoupling was the goal, many assumed the U.S. itself would fill that vacuum. Instead, as American costs rose and political uncertainty deepened, foreign firms looked elsewhere. And in many cases, that elsewhere was Canada. German auto giants like BMW and Mercedes-Benz have shifted some North American operations to Canadian provinces. Japanese electronics firms are investing in British Columbia. Even South Korean chipmakers are eyeing Canada's mining regions for rare earth supplies. It's a new supply chain axis, one that links Canada directly with the world while bypassing the volatile U.S. market. And it's working. What's next? Can the U.S. regain control? The Biden administration has quietly tried to repair some of the trade war damage. Tariffs on Canada have been eased. Talks on harmonizing standards have resumed. But the truth is, the supply chain landscape has already shifted, and unwinding it won't be easy. The U.S. can certainly compete. It has the talent, the capital, and the industrial base. But to reverse the damage, it will need long-term policy stability, cross-party cooperation, and serious investment in modern infrastructure, things in short supply right now. Meanwhile, Canada keeps doing what it does best, playing the long game. Outro: The North rises. Quietly. It was never about shouting the loudest. While America raised its voice, Canada sharpened its tools. While others played checkers, it played chess, quietly, deliberately, and with unshakable patience. Today, the United States is waking up to a new reality. Its closest ally is also its fiercest competitor. Not by design, but by opportunity. The trade war meant to tilt the table has only leveled the playing field, and Canada came ready to play. The next chapter in North American power dynamics has already begun. The only question now is, who's really in control?